Chapter 2, Hospitality and AMP, Tourism Marketing Research. The purpose of marketing research. Research procedures vary depending upon the nature of research problem, but in general, the process of marketing research is made up of a number of stages as follows. 1. Define the research problem and set the research objectives. 2. Design the research. This includes data sources, select sampling methods, select data collection method, and design data collection questionnaire. 3. Test the research design, pilot. 4. Collect the data. 5. Analysis the data and interpret the results. 6. Present findings. Chapter 2, Hospitality and AMP, Tourism Marketing Research. Problem definition, setting research objectives and research design. Defining the research problem is the most critical step in the research process. Unless the problem is accurately defined, the information collected will be of limited or no use. Careful thought and the discussion about the problem, the information needed to address the problem and the relative value of the information collected should take place before anything else. A structured, systematic approach to decision-making will also enable management, or the commissioner of the research, to set the objectives of research. In other words, what is the problem and what do we want to find out to try to solve it? This preliminary planning is important as it has implications for the design of the research and quality of the information collected. Research design. There are 3 types of research designs: exploratory, descriptive, and casual. The choice of research design will depend on the problem previously defined. Exploratory research, this is most useful in the early stages of research, particularly if the researcher is not familiar with the subject area. There is no formal structure to exploratory research as the researcher needs to look at a wide range of information sources without being restricted. The aim of exploratory research is to uncover any variable that may be relevant to the research project, as well as an investigation of the environment in which the research will take place. Descriptive research. The purpose of descriptive research is to provide an accurate description of the variables uncovered by the exploratory stage. This could be used to investigate the market share of a company's products or the demographic characteristics of the target market. Age, sex, income, etc. Data is usually obtained from secondary data source or from surveys. Casual research is used to determine the relationship between variables, such as the relationship between advertising and destination choice. Chapter 2, Hospitality and AMP, Tourism Marketing Research. Problem definition, setting research objectives and research design. Data sources. Data comes from 2 sources: primary sources, those used for the purpose of collecting information specifically for the current research projects, and secondary sources which consist of information that has already been collected for other purpose. Primary sources. Most marketing research projects will involve the collection of more up-to-date information than is available from secondary sources. Primary sources of information may include tourist, airline companies, travel agents, hotels, and so on. Depending upon the research problem, the information is collected using the qualitative and quantities primary data collection methods. Secondary sources. This provides the researcher with a starting point for data collection. It may be possible to solve the research problem either wholly or in part by using secondary data and obviate the need for primary data. This reduces the cost of a research project. Secondary data are cheaper to collect than primary data. The use of secondary data sources is also called desk research. Chapter 2, Hospitality and AMP, Tourism Marketing Research. Practical sampling methods and data collection. In designing research, a major decision that the researcher must make concerns the selection of a sampling method. Sampling is a very important tool in marketing research. It involves selecting a small number of people from the large survey population whose characteristics, attitudes, and behavior are representative of the larger group. Before selecting the sample, however, the researcher must first define the population from which to draw the sample. Exploratory research can help define the population to include all the players and variables that are relevant to the survey. For some surveys, particularly if the survey population is small or concentration in one geographic area, it may be possible to take a census, which is a useful method in some business surveys. More commonly, a representative sample is interviewed, as this reduces both time and the cost of the research. Deciding sample size. Deciding how many people to include in your sample is as important a decision as how they should be selected. Factors such as cost, time and staff availability, level of accuracy required, data collection method and location of the population all play a part in deciding sample size. In reality, cost-effectiveness is the most important factor in deciding how many should be contracted in the research, followed by time and availability. If it is decided to select a large number for the sample, there may be insufficient staff available to contact the respondents within the time constraints of the survey, so a smaller sample size may be accepted as a compromise. When selecting a sample, it is important that there is a high level of confidence that the sample is representative of the research population as a whole. The sample must be large enough to provide accurate results, without being so large as to increase research cost unnecessarily. It is possible to calculate confidence levels for different sample. Choice of a sampling method. The two main types of sampling method: probability methods, cluster, stratified random, systematic random, simple random etc., and non-probability methods, quota sampling, independent, convenience. Probability methods, statistically speaking, these are the best types of sampling methods, as each respondent has a known chance of being selected, so bias is minimized. They also allow the accuracy of the results to be estimated statistically. Chapter 2, Hospitality and AMP, Tourism Marketing Research. Practical sampling methods and data collection. Non-probability methods. With non-probability sampling methods, some element of judgment enters the selection process. The extent to which judgment is used, and therefore the element of bias introduced, varies in these methods. Non-probability methods do not require a sampling frame, and the chance of each unit being selected is unknown. Statistical estimates of the size of the sampling error cannot therefore be made. Primary data collection methods. The researcher should not rely on the use of secondary data alone to answer research problems. Not all secondary data are available to researcher, as some may be unavailable, for example in confidential reports, and other data may simply be too costly to acquire. The information available may also be out of date or not sufficiently detailed to solve the research problem. Usually, primary data needs to be collected. Qualitative techniques. The main techniques of qualitative research are individual in-depth interview, the group discussion and observation. There are also a range of projective techniques available, but these present their own problems and should be used with care. Observation. There are occasions when it is more useful to observe behaviors than to interview the respondent about it. Observation is usually used at the exploratory stages of research or to complement other research methods, rather than being used alone. When conducted in a systematic and structured way, this method can identify pattern of behavior, but it cannot provide information on the reason behind that behavior. Group discussion is a technique that grew out of therapy used by psychiatrists. It is based on the idea that individuals who have a particular problem will be more willing to discuss it in a supportive atmosphere with others who share problem. It offers the researcher the opportunity to obtain in-depth information on a variety of subjects within a discussion group framework. It is a very flexible technique, as each group discussion is led a moderator who ensures that conversation is kept flowing within the boundaries of the interview guide, a list of the main subject areas to be covered, without restricting the information from the respondents. Maintaining a suitable conducive atmosphere can be extremely difficult, so skill of the moderator is the key to success of the group discussion. Proper interpretation and analysis of the data also depends largely on the skill of the moderator, who must have knowledge of group dynamic, interviewing techniques, as well as the subject under discussion. This form of qualitative research is often used as a preliminary to survey research.